and welcome to the Investing Bros. I am T Shroom, and I'm really honored that you would take your time to join me here. Thank you so much. We've got some crazy news. Dogecoin wallets are hitting thousands of % gain. We're going to take a look at that in just a second. It's getting crazy. Oh, man. But we're going to start off with the Bitcoin charts, as we always do. Let's take a look at them here, guys. So taking a look, you can see Bitcoin has had a nice day yesterday. I'm down on the 4-hour, and we'll start off at yesterday's bottom candle all the way to the top. We wicked right around 4.4% upside. Now, some of that has been retraced as of this morning. We are down 0.2% here, and we're just doing a little retest. I'm guessing we may come back and test the midline of the Bollinger Band here. It also coincides with this bit of support from these closed candles here back on kind of later towards the closing of the 28th. But ultimately, Bitcoin looking bullish. There's a lot of bullish activity going on. We're going to take a look at that here in just a second. This episode is brought to you by Tax. So if you're looking to get your taxes done and you've been investing or trading crypto, you want to head over to Tax. You get a free 60-minute consultation and tell Ernest that the Investing Bros sent you. Taking a look here at the bubbles, you can see Tau, Pendle, Render, all doing really, really well. Also leading the market. Ordi up 8%, Mina up 9% on the day. We do have some losers. Injective is actually down 4.5. CFX is down 4. Lido down 2, and some change. And yeah, so not a huge surprise. These have been some market leaders. Tau especially has been they kind of came out of nowhere a few months ago. Tau, TIA, C has been around for a little bit, but they kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of traders and have just been absolutely amazing to trade. Some on the volatility of, you see Bitcoin right up here, up 2.8% on the day. All right, that's awesome. So let's go ahead and let's take a look here at Ethereum. Let's see what is rocking on Ethereum, as it's been trying to push back up to this downtrending line of resistance and see if it can't push through. This is one that I'm actually actively looking to get an entry point in on a leverage trade through Blowfin. Blowfin is our exchange partner. We've got a link for them down in the description. You can leverage trade like up to 270 different pairs, and the leverage goes really high. And also, you can do it as an American. There's very limited KYC. So that's why we like them. They're really great. Meanwhile, down on ALGO, on the ALGO oscillator metrics on the 4-hour, you can see money flow continuing to firm up, continuing to move in the right direction. Probably after a nice little momentum correction, a little lower, we're gonna get a bounce higher. I'm feeling it for Ethereum. I really am. We've put in what could be a low above the midline of the Bollinger Band and getting ready for a move higher. I think a lot has to do with how Bitcoin wants to perform the rest of the day, and that is going to be contingent on the news, which we're about to jump into. Before we do, let's see who was first in the chat. I believe it was Tony. Tony is not showing up. I can't show Tony, though, but Tony Fuego. So congrats to you, Tony. Got Dylan Martinez, got a Mellow Fellow, got Nancy Croy. Oh, here's Tony. It's got all mixed up in my software here. Joe Nickel said, "Morning, bros." And let's see, Gia S also saying happy Tuesday. It is a happy Tuesday. We are here. We're in the middle of it. All right. Pokemon Gain said, "Good morning, broskies. I've been here for a while, T-Shroom. Started to follow you and Tim since you guys were with Jeb." That's awesome. That is awesome. Thanks for speaking up. Got a long-time listener, first-time caller there. And then Blackie Chan saying what's up as well. Let's go ahead and jump on into the news. I've got a public service announcement for everybody. These are the massive token unlocks for 21 different coins. Going to go through these quick, guys, so stay with me. And who knows what's going to be advertised here. We'll see. Woo Network, Navi, Say. This is a bigger one. So the market value of the unlock is going to be 1.1 billion. I'm sorry. That's the that's a lot. That's the overall market value for Say. Okay, the unlocks is going to be 1.5 million. Correction there. Mina protocol has a 1.2 million unlock. Cello, SafePal, Illuvium has a 280 million unlock. No. Goodness gracious, I got that wrong again. Sorry, the unlock for Illuvium is 2.9 million. The overall market value is 280 million. You're welcome, America. API3, never even seen that one. Some of these I've never seen. I'm just going to skip over them. Optimism, that's a pretty big. This is almost a $3 billion coin. Okay, they're having a $74 million unlock, so that's pretty significant. That's 2% of the market cap. That's significant. Scale, NYM, Hooked, DYDX having a pretty big one. Let's see, 100 million unlock. Orbs, Bitconomy, Mines of Delorania. All right, that one's having a 2.5 million unlock on a coin that's only 46 million. So that's a big one. 5% market unlock. Okay, so that's going to round us out there. That's just a quick public service announcement for you guys. Anybody holding those altcoins, what happens during an unlock? Price go down, right? There's the potential for the price to go down as you're adding new supply. All right, let's get into the news here. The European Union is bringing us across the pond for Americans. European Union SEC equivalent proposes new rules on cryptocurrencies. Here are the details. Strap in, folks. ESMA's latest proposals, currently open for public comment until the end of April, aim to clarify how the MiCA framework should be applied in practice, particularly in relation to crypto asset firms outside of the EU. Yeah, it's getting interesting. According to the ESMA's statement, firms outside the EU can only provide crypto assets services to EU customers if the customer initiates the service exclusively. All right, I'm going to stop there. This raises big questions for B2B providers, right? So if I'm an EU citizen and I've gone to let's say Robinhood, right? Robinhood now enabled in the EU, I can buy crypto. I go to Robinhood, I say I want to open up an account so I can buy crypto. Robinhood lets you open it up. Boom, boom. But then Robinhood is using Polygon, right, to send USDC across USDC. Is that a violation of that? Because the customer has not directly initiated, right? The EU customer has not initiated the service exclusively. I don't know. I'm just doing a quick, armchair interpretation of this. But let's read on. This is a concept known as reverse demand, which is already part of the EU financial laws. The agency explains that this exemption should be interpreted narrowly and seen as an exception rather than the norm. This stance could force many foreign crypto firms to establish a physical presence within the EU, such as opening a branch or subsidiary to comply with the union's regulations. Okay, so in that instance, in that example that I gave with Polygon could potentially be in trouble, right? But all they have to do is open up a branch or a subsidiary in the EU. Now, for some of these crypto companies who don't even have a headquarters anywhere, no physical location, Binance comes to mind. What are they going to do about that? That's going to be tricky. But if the EU is the only one to institute this law and no other countries or regions do that, then it could be feasible, right? And the EU is just collecting a little bit of taxes, right? And that's ultimately what this comes down to. I don't know how much about this is protecting the customer versus they want you to have a headquarter. They want you to have a location in the EU so that they can charge you. Yes, the nation states continuing to attempt to remain relevant as the world digitizes and makes nation states irrelevant. Out with the old, in with the new. Additionally, ESMA proposes guidelines for determining when a crypto asset should be classified as a financial instrument, such as a share or bond. The old securities versus commodities argument. If classified in this way, these assets would also fall under the EU's Market in Financial Instruments Directive rules, adding another layer of regulatory oversight. So not a death nail, but potentially causing more complications and more legal fees to try to sort this out for crypto companies over in the EU. Well, Overall, that does not scare me, right? As a bull, I don't read that and think, oh man, I better sell everything now because the EU is going to overregulate. I think this is, to be honest with you, this is probably fairly common sense. It doesn't seem that intrusive. However, it's a continuation of momentum towards regulation rather than saying, okay, we're going to be kind of more hands off. So, overall, just from a black and white standpoint, it is more regulation, but I don't see that as, just from my surface level reading through this article's lens as well, something to be aware of. I don't see it as overly bearish at all. All right, let's take a look here because we've got some news for Dogecoin, everybody's favorite meme coin, right? Let me know, do you have a meme coin that you like more than Dogecoin? Let me know in the chat right now, and I'm actually going to shout them out. Oh, look what we got. We got Crux of Crypto saying GN bros. So Crux of Crypto must be over in Japan saying good night, bros. He is ready to Betty buy down. Let's see. Here we go. Blackie Chan said 29 in Nebraska right now. We're supposed to hit 52 this afternoon. Wow. That is going to be very, very cold. And I say that because I'm in Florida, right? It doesn't get below 40 most of the time, at least during the day. It doesn't get below 40. All right, we got French Toaster saying Miro. So that's our first meme coin shout out. We got COQ Inu, we got Pepe, and we got Yo. Is Yo coin? Is that a coin? Yo coin? I've never heard of that. Mellow Fellow said he's in Jersey today. Very cool. I feel bad for you. I never want to go to the state of New Jersey ever again. I've been there twice. The first time was great. It was a cool party. I was actually at an event called Playlist Live back in my Vine days. Maybe you know about that. I was somewhat popular on the Vine app. That was the first time I went to New Jersey. The second time was with a road trip with Big Tim and Smay last year, and that was a nightmare. The actual stay was fine, but like a couple months later, we got a ticket. We got sent a bill, an invoice for $300 because of all the traffic tolls. Somebody in New Jersey has completely messed up the traffic up there. So it is crazy. All right. Yeah, let's keep moving on here. So those are going to be some of y'all's favorite meme coins. Some of those I've heard of. All of those I've heard of. Let's take a look at this meme coin, Dogecoin. The Dogecoin network is witnessing a remarkable surge in growth, with new addresses increasing by a staggering 1,100% over the past week. That's big. On January 29th alone, a record-breaking 247,240 new Doge addresses were created, marking an all-time high. That is a lot of addresses. A sustained uptrend in network expansion could soon reflect positively on the Doge price. Absolutely. Let's take a look at the Doge price and see where it's rocking out at. I've got it down here in my meme section. I've got Bonk, Pepe, and Snake in my meme section. Ooh, crypto's getting kind of red here. We might have to take a look at the bubbles before we take a look at crypto. So on the day, crypto's still green, most of crypto. And then if you take a look at the hour, yeah, there's some red coming in, but that's to be expected. I'm not seeing this as a huge threat. All right, let's look at Doge here. I'm down on the 4-hour for Doge, and there's not really been too much of a price reaction from that. Of course, we had this spike up here when the X account was made for X payments. That was pretty bullish. But if you zoom out and you take a look at it on the weekly, man, this bump was nothing. This bump was nothing. It's been contained within this consolidating. I wouldn't call it a pennant, but consolidating movement down. Consolidating movement, really resting and finding support here on the midline of the Bollinger Band here, which is nice. It's good to see a decent amount of trading time. Since November, it's been on the top side of the Bollinger Band out on the weekly. So Doge showing some strength here, I will say, but it is not immune to this big bearish cross hanging over it on the MACD. I moved my MACD up here, you'll notice, because a lot of cryptos right now have a big bear cross coming in, including Bitcoin. So on the weekly charts at least. So it's something to keep in mind. Now it hasn't officially crossed for many of them. I think Dogecoin or Litecoin. For Link, it actually has crossed. So we did get that bear cross for Link, and so far it hasn't reacted to that to the downside, right? So that could be a good sign for crypto that this bear cross phenomenon is going to completely be ignored. That is definitely possible. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the next story here. Dogecoin, looking good. I hold a little bit of it. Other than Ordi, it's one of my favorite memes for a lot of reasons, and the majority of those reasons is named Elon Musk. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the next story here. And yes, we are getting into the grayscale of it all. Grayscale has sent goodness, what number is that? 4.6 billion in Bitcoin to Coinbase since Bitcoin ETF approvals, according to on-chain data. And we have a take here that we'll get to in just a second. According to Look On-Chain, now totals over 4.64 billion since the ETF approvals, right? And that's the stream of deposits of Bitcoin from Grayscale. And even after the massive deposits, Grayscale remains the third largest holder of Bitcoin to the tune of 502,000 Bitcoin. That's a lot, worth 20 billion. My prediction is that this number will get into the teens as money continues to rotate out of Grayscale. As we're going to find out in a moment, it is continuing to rotate at a lower rate, at a decreasing rate, right? So that is good. That is showing that that buyers are not, the buyer behavior is not changing. So there was an initial catalyst for that buyer behavior, and that had a lot to do with the annual fee, right? That 1.5 annual fee. Why be in that fee when you could be in at most 0.8 fee, right? Is the next highest for these spot Bitcoin ETFs. A lot of people are making that change. A lot of people are also just finding that this is a good time to sell for them, right? Sell Bitcoin. Now, obviously, I would think that that's pretty idiotic, right? But I also think that the majority of those who sold are looking to get right back into a Bitcoin exposed instrument. All right, well, we've got a take here from Invest Answers because he's actually weighed in on this. And before I read this, I will warn you that this is very bullish, right? So if you were thinking of taking some profits today to pay for your car payment or your rent or whatever it is, A, you shouldn't be investing money you can't afford to lose. But B, be careful because this is going to be very, very bullish. All right, tune in. Lean on in with me here. Let's get into it. Here's the good news. This is from Invest Answers. BlackRock has nearly $2 billion in assets under management, and after Friday, will have 50,000 Bitcoin. Fidelity, growing faster than BlackRock. Fidelity customers love Bitcoin even more. If you remove Grayscale, on average, $550 million per day are rolling into Bitcoin ETFs. That is huge. That is huge. If you remove Grayscale, these ETFs sucked in 140,000 Bitcoin. Okay, the ETFs alone are sucking in 15.5x the daily Bitcoin supply created. Okay, very bullish. Limited supply, really coming in clutch here for Bitcoin. Bitcoin bottomed earlier this week. Now FOMO, fear of missing out. Now FOMO time, right? So it is very, very bullish. Of course, Invest Answers, a great YouTube channel, does deep dives on a lot of different things. I'm a huge fan. There's a whole lot to be bullish about, guys, as we move into the Fed event. So right now, I'm kind of wrapping up in the 9 a.m. show. I'm kind of wrapping up our coverage of the Grayscale kind of narrative, because this has been the biggest narrative, the biggest market-moving, price-moving narrative, right, since the ETF spot Bitcoin approval. Okay, so now we're post that, and ever since then, it's been GBTC, 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 and there's been very little else going on that has had anywhere near significant of a force on the price. Okay, well, that is reaching a conclusion as of this week. Really, or should we hike? Right, and they're looking at their data and they're trying to make those decisions. Tomorrow, they're going to come out and grace us plebes with the decision that they have made, based on the data, of course, based on that data and nothing else. No other outside forces influence their perfect analysis of the data and what they should do for us plebes over at the Federal Reserve. Of course, there's a hint of sarcasm in there. You may have detected it. Great, good on you. But the point is that is going to be the predominant narrative for the rest of the week. And then there also will be jobs numbers further out into the week as well. So that'll be something we want to pay attention to. But for now, we're going to wrap up the Grayscale narrative. My prediction is that Grayscale is not going to be the predominant force anymore. Another one we talked about was also China, right? And this was one that I've identified at the beginning of the year China thawing is a very important narrative that is going to continue to be a growing narrative, in my opinion, based on the headlines we've been seeing, especially yesterday, right? So with Evergrande, right, kind of announcing that they are going into liquidation, right? And then on the same day, a second spot Bitcoin ETF being introduced to their SEC equivalent, right, for approval. And that one of those companies expects the spot Bitcoin ETF to be traded on the Hong Kong exchanges, essentially allowing Bitcoin exposure for the Chinese economy in a time when you want to get in fixed supply assets, right? Whether it be gold, right? Whether it be equities, you want to get into, well, equities are not fixed supply unless the CEO has stated that they're not going to print more stock. But you see what I mean. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and jump right on into this Grayscale narrative because it is winding down, but we want to see proof, right? All right, so, this isn't the best way to look at this because I'm in the way. That is unfortunate. All the important data is right to the side here. Let me see if I can make this happen for us. All right, well, I'll do this. I'll just close this back, and we can look at it zoomed in. That works. Cool. All right, so take a look here. What's important here are the numbers on this column. So this is the total ETF, right? And you can see it broken down by fund. So you have BlackRock here, Fidelity here, Bitwise, all the way down to GBTC, which is bleeding, not growing, right? So it's been bleeding, but its total assets, right? You can see this column. Its total assets are here, 21 billion, right? And that's been going lower and lower. And I'm predicting that that's actually going to get into the teens eventually. So these are ultimately, you can kind of see the days that have been going on, right? So you had January 11th, January 12th, on down to where we are today on January 29th. And as you can see, in black are the days of positive outflows. In red are the days of total net negative outflows, right? So ultimately, you can see there's the big, very, very big positive first 2 days, okay? And then there was a kind of a 0 day. That's kind of crazy. I guess in billions there, it's possible that there could be a 0 day, right? But then you also have a 5 down, and then you kind of have this whale of selling from GBTC. Well, that's selling now, right? If you think about this like histograms, right? Just forget about the numbers for a second and just look at the amount of digits and then the color. Like the red histograms are waning, right? That's a good way to think about it. Yeah, so you had double digits, and then you got into triple digits, high double digits, and now you're getting back into high double digits, right? And as of the last 2 days, you're actually positive, right? So on the other side of that. That's a good way to think about it. This all kind of illustrates that overall, right, money is now flowing into Bitcoin faster than it is leaving Bitcoin, whether it be through the ETFs, through the ETFs. Okay, so very important, very encouraging to see. And obviously, we'll be continuing to watch that. But don't be surprised if you stop hearing about Grayscale, stop hearing about GBTC, because from all indications, the selling there is likely over. Because the sell thesis really was that high fee. And I think for most folks, right, they're going to say, why would I sell and have to pay the capital gains tax, which is going to be 35%, when I'm trying to run away from a 1.5%, which really, if you look at the net on that, it's probably only an extra 5 to 7%, right, that they're having to pay. So 5 to 7%, 0.5 or 0.7% versus 35%, right? That's an obvious thesis. So if you're in that situation and you don't want to pay that big 35%, then you're just going to hold. And that's why you're seeing, still $20 billion in GBTC. However, there was folks who said, yeah, I'll go ahead and pay that capital gains tax. I'm going to have to pay it anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and take that hit, right? But I'm going to go ahead and rotate into a lower feed annual ETF. However, a good bit of that money, as we can see, is still on the sidelines waiting to get in at lower prices that may not come. We'll see. We shall see. If Bitcoin's any indication, if the history of Bitcoin is any indication, we should potentially see a pullback, a pretty significant one to 35. I still have definitely not ruled that out. Definitely not ruled that out by any means. Speaking of paying taxes and capital gains taxes, by the way, don't forget that this live stream is brought to you by Decrypted.tax. Guys, I know we bring it up a lot, but we really want to support Decrypted.tax because they're supporting us, right? We're a team, we're a partnership. You can get a free 60-minute consultation. Maybe you've got some questions about tax coming up because you've been investing, you've been trading crypto, you've never done it before, or you're working with a guy last year or a gal and they sucked. They didn't know anything about crypto. They said they did. These guys know crypto. They've been helping Tim and I out, and it has been phenomenal. Go to decrypted.tax. It's the first link in the description of this video. All right, well, one last thing I want to bring to your attention, and then we'll look at some charts on the way out, is the JOLTS job numbers are coming out today, okay? Those are the forecasted to be 8.6 million, and the consensus is just above that. We'll get that print here at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then we'll get the Fed decision tomorrow at 2 p.m., and also have the Fed press conference at 2:30 p.m. Investing Bros, we are not planning on changing our schedule. We're still going to go live at 3 p.m. to cover that. We'll cover it post decision, and we're going to be having Bitcoin Ben on. That's right, Bitcoin Ben. It's going to be an absolute flurry of fun and intrigue. So make sure you join us. It's going to be a ton of fun. All right, so let's go ahead and look at some charts before we sign out here. Let's definitely go look at Salana. Salana has been rocketing higher. It was one of those on the bubbles that was actually doing pretty well. Still doing up 9.4% according to the bubbles. Let's take a look here. I'm on the weekly chart. You can kind of see it's been playing along with the rest of crypto. Got that hammer candle last week. Let's take a look here at the. Let's go down to the 4 hour. Let's go down to the 4 hour. I usually don't go lower than the 4 hour. As you can see, it's got another hammer here. I don't think this is marking a bottom. I think it just happens to be we caught it mid candle, and that's what it looks like. Overall here, I'd say Salana has momentum on its side. These MACD lines are looking healthy for a continued bull push on the 4 hour. It's also hugging the top line of this Bollinger Band, not exceeding it, right? So to me, signaling that this is a healthy but aggressive push higher for Salana that could be sustained through the rest of today and potentially through the rest of the week. I think that at some point this is going to come back and test the midline of the Bollinger Band, right? But that could happen. That could happen way down the road when the Bollinger Band is like here, right? And then you get a retest somewhere around 112. That is possible. We're going to have to. It's going to be contingent upon news with Salana, but also just the wider crypto investment conditions. I'm seeing some fat chats here, so let's go ahead and jump into the chats. Crypto Mini Bike said, had a crazy morning. Already, my wall heater just caught fire on the show as the show started. That's insane. Got it out and out of the wall with no damage except my house smells like burnt wire. Dude, that is rough, man. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad that you got it sorted out, it sounds like. Wow, okay. Crypto Mini Bike. That's rough. Sorry to hear that, man. Let's see what else we got going on here. Everybody's talking about that heater. Tom Timo said, that thesis assumes that every participant in GBTC has purchased under current prices. Okay, we got some nuance coming in. I like it. All those who have purchased prices above can still reallocate for a smaller fee. Yes, but that is a vastly smaller number than people who've been accumulating since the beginning of GBTC. So GBTC came in to this event of the Bitcoin spot ETF approval event with something north of $20 billion under management, right? So those, yes, what he's saying essentially is, if we go to a Bitcoin chart, you can see here that, you had this lead up, this is the 4 hour. Go back to the weekly. We had this lead up, which has been extremely bullish. I mean, you could say that speculation around the spot Bitcoin ETF started back here at the beginning of, or at the end of the bear market low, right around 15. However, I would say that it really started probably around here when Larry Fink was saying flight to quality in this area, right? So, but GBTC has been acquired not only through here, but all the way through since its inception, which it would be helpful to know that if somebody could drop it in the chat. I want to say it's pre-2018, though. So somewhere around there, I believe GBTC went live because it's been a trust, right? So they've held spot, but it's different from an ETF, and for that reasons, the spot Bitcoin ETF approval has been significant. However, okay, so what Tom is saying is that what about all the buyers up here? What about all the buyers that are not in profit and wouldn't have capital gains? They could potentially dump on the market. Yes, they could, but that is going to be a drop in the bucket. You wouldn't even hear that drop. It would be lost in the noise of all of the rest of the market volume. So that's my essential kind of rebuttal to that. It's not a strong rebuttal because it's anybody's say, what's going to happen here. I'm just saying when I hear you making that claim, kind of making that claim based on the thesis I presented, it's not something that invalidates my thesis, right? Which, again, to reiterate, the thesis, we're going over time here. The thesis is essentially that the selling for GBTC is over. What Tom is saying is, well, hold on, it may not be over because what about all the guys where that 35% cap gains tax doesn't apply to, the folks who have bought higher than current prices? Well, I see what you're saying. It's a very much smaller percentage of the overall assets under management for GBTC. And B, why would you sell for a loss, right? So that there is some logic to that sometimes selling for a loss. But I think for right now, folks who've gotten into Bitcoin and haven't sold, like they're still holding it today, they're proving that their diamond hands are somewhat strong. So let's see if Tom had a rebuttal for that. Not quite yet, so we'll probably go ahead and sign off. Dylan Martinez, though, taking Tom's side. Wow. Dylan said, I agree. Why not sell in profit and reallocate to cheaper fee assets? Well, I just said why not to, because you have to pay the capital gains taxes. Okay, I may not have been super clear with that. Drew said, T-Shroom, does it help if I click the heart 100 times? Yes. Every time you click, I feel it. Take that interpret that any way you want. Drew said, the Bitcoin ETFs are trending up in a price now. Now is the time to add them to your IRA or retirement fund if you plan to. Yes. I generally agree with that. Not financial advice, but as a moment of entertainment, I do agree with that. Dylan Martinez chiming back in. Bo, I responded before you answered. Haha. Yeah, I figured. Guys, I don't think anybody's right or wrong here. We're all going to find out in real time. I think ultimately, though, the selling is now pretty much over. The heavy selling for GBTC is pretty much over, which is what? Very bullish, because that gives the green light to the sales guys over at BlackRock, over at Fidelity. They'll probably wait a couple of days, but they're going to be turning to their clients and say, hey, look, never steered you wrong. We've made a lot of money together. Let's make some more money here. Buy the Bitcoin ETFs. I'm going to get a fee. You're going to make a bunch of money. Larry Fink is going to be, yet again, a financial genius. So here we go. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be live today at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tim had his video come out today, and it looks like he's doing better, so we will be going live. Go ahead and give Army Piper some love. He'll be going live. He's already live. I'm stepping on his toes, and I'm sorry about that, but there you go. See you then, and see you at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Keep your stop losses tight. Stay hydrated, and call your mom and tell her you love her.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.